Saints Bucs recap, ladies and gentlemen. This is with Check the Mic, Sam and Steve, previously from Pro Football Focus. Sorry if my voice is gone, ladies and gentlemen. I am filming this at 6 a.m. It's early AF. But we're getting this out there for y'all to have a video early today. I'll tell you how bad yesterday was. Yesterday, got home, did the recap video, was watching some football, and I said, you know what? I got to shave. Just randomly said, you know what, I'm shaving. Just boom, shaved the beard off. So we're starting fresh, I guess. Clean shaven on a Monday. Bags under the eyes. Get you a cup of coffee and let's rock and roll.
Incredible back and forth game in this one.
Yeah, can't say rugby week, but can say clean old-fashioned hate between the hedges and the peach state.
Wow, you're so good at that. That was great. That Georgia, that was the best video we ever did for college.
Anyway,
Georgia Tech 2018 game preview. Sam nailed the intro like that. Yeah. Still can do it.
This game was weird.
Sure was.
Really weird.
It was weird.
The sequence of scoring in this game was completely insane.
Yeah. You want me to cover it real quick?
Sure.
It was like 3 blowouts all in one game because the Bucs blew us out in the first 10 minutes. They were up 14-0 and by 8 minutes left in the first quarter. Then all of a sudden it's 17-0. In the stands, we're sitting there and we're all like, well, this is over. You know, like we already have our backs against the wall. We already have a rookie quarterback out there. We already are injured, and now we're down 17-0 immediately. Then, as fast as you can get a dome dog, we're up. We're winning. It's 27-24. Like we're getting turnovers. We're winning. We're thinking, man, if we just hold the fort, we'll have a chance at this thing. Then Tampa goes on a 27-0 run. And that's it. Like insane back and forth of just 3 blowouts all wrapped up into one game.
Bucs got up 17-0.
Yep.
Very quickly. One of those touchdowns was a fumble, scoop and score, fumble recovery for the Bucs.
I'll tell you this on that scoop and score. If you watch the entire game, there was a play with Bub Means later on that was ruled an incomplete pass. I thought the Chris Olave situation should have been an incomplete pass as well. I mean, even before the targeting, he goes to make the catch. He makes the catch like this, like reaching back, kind of like, ball in the pocket. Reaches back, makes the catch as he's turning up, like immediately as he's turning, the ball gets knocked out, and then it's kind of moving around. He gets the targeting, and it's a fumble. I thought the ball was out back here. Nothing to do with the fumble. I thought the ball was already knocked out. I didn't think it was a fumble. So I thought it was pretty crazy they ruled that. And then it was even crazier that there was no flag for targeting.
So it's 17-0. Saints creep back into it. A punt return for a touchdown gets them back in. So it's 17-10. Rashid Shaheed, of course. Eventually the Saints take a 20-17 lead. Bucs go back up 24-20. Saints take the lead again, 27-24.
And that was halftime, right?
Yeah.
27-24 at halftime. Yeah. Baker Mayfield had like 32 dropbacks.
So Tampa Bay was 17-0 up, and then they're trailing 24-27 at the half.
Yes.
Yeah, I just said
the Saints didn't score again.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the Bucs scored the last however many points.
27.
What is that? Is it 27?
Yes.
Don't make me do the math on the fly when you have to carry numbers. 27 unanswered in the second half to win 51-27.
Yeah.
Did you get all that?
I did. That's a crazy sequence of scoring. The Saints also managed to go, I think Dan Hans has pointed this out, they scored 27 points only, all in the second quarter.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's nuts.
Right?
Yeah, that's wild.
They only scored in the second quarter, but they scored 27 points in the second quarter.
They sure did. So the punt return.
It really is crazy. I mean, the Saints are doing things this season. Every game, there's another stat where it's like, oh, the Saints are the first team to do this. Oh, the Saints are the first team to do this. This game, I believe, is the first team ever to score 27 points, get 3 interceptions. There's some other stat in there, and lose by 24 points. I think that's the algorithm, and it's the first team ever to do that. Like if you'd have told me before the game, oh yeah, you scored 27 points in the game, I would have been like, oh, we probably win. If you said, oh, you scored 27 points in the second quarter, I would have said, Jesus, what did we score, 70 points? The Spencer Rattler throw for 500 yards? If you just said, oh, you pick off Baker Mayfield 3 times in the second quarter, it's like, wow. I mean, Do they bench him? Oh, no, you lose by 24. What?
For a touchdown. Baker Mayfield finished with 3 picks. The first one was bad. That was part of what kept them or got the Saints back into the game. Then there was batted pass interceptions. There was some ugly, some unlucky interceptions there. Bucs' run game was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the run game was insane. Like, you give up 8 yards a rush to Sean Tucker, and I know Bucky Irving is good, but I mean, God. Yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy how this has turned. Like, everything that everyone was talking about before the season really doesn't matter. Like, the whole Derek Carr this, or, whatever, Michael Thomas, or Chris Olave, or Rashid Shaheed, or Alvin Kamara, like, everything we really talked about, Clint Kubiak. I mean, it doesn't matter when you give up 8 yards to play, or when you're giving up 8 yards to carry. Like, I mean, at that point, like, the Saints are on pace to be one of the worst defenses in the history of the NFL. In the history of the NFL. They are right now 40 yards per game behind the worst defense in the history of the NFL, the 2012 Saints, in yards per game allowed. That is insane. And let me say this too. Like, a lot of people I keep seeing this comment, and I want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. A few weeks ago, after the Atlanta game, we reacted to a rant video that was saying that, basically the Saints were garbage. The statistics at the time did not reflect that. The stats at the time reflected that the Saints got kind of unlucky against Atlanta. They more than likely should be 3-2. They should have won the game in Atlanta. They should have kind of a stranglehold in the division. And things weren't as bad as it seemed, even though the Atlanta loss was not awesome. Then comes this game, okay? And then people are like, well, what about now? Like, now, what do you think? And that kind of makes my point, is that if you just follow the context, of what is happening, you will see, like, yes, there was a stark decline. The Saints were second or third in defensive DVOA for most of the season when we were having those conversations. Now, they're probably like once this week is over, once the Monday Night Football game is over, they'll probably be like 17th, 18th. So in 2 weeks to fall from 2 to 18, like, yeah, that demonstrates a very sharp decline in overall play. No doubt about it. You can do the same thing with YPP, yards per play. At halftime of the Bucs game, we were sitting in the stands. I was eating my chicken tenders, and we were doing the box score, because then you can kind of judge like how the game is supposed to go. And we all said, like, the Saints should be losing this game right now, because you cannot give up. You can't give up these many rushing yards per carry. And lo and behold, ends up happening. At the time, at halftime, I said I thought the score probably should have been closer to like Bucs 21, Saints 20, not Saints 27, Bucs 24. Didn't really matter, but I certainly didn't have us losing by 24 points. But again, not a whole lot matters whenever you give up 8 yards per play.
I mean, certainly that Bucky Irving run was pretty ridiculous.
So they had no Rashad White. Sean Tucker comes in, runs for 136 on 14 carries and a score. Bucky Irving, 81 yards. Sean Tucker did it more from, I don't know. I mean, Bucky Irving forced 9 missed tackles, I believe it was. Is that right?
Yeah, Bucky Irving is very good.
Saints tackling was horrendous overall. Yes. Chris Godwin also ran through the defense for a 50.
Yeah, the Godwin touchdown was terrible. Like, he was stood up twice. Alante just kind of like hit sticks him. I don't know. The tackling thing is crazy, because a lot of these guys on the defense have been there. The offense is the side where you're expecting the mistakes. Like, you're expecting, rookie mistakes or young mistakes or miscommunications. I mean, you have young players everywhere. You have 3 offensive linemen who are brand new to starting. You have Spencer Rattler, a fifth round rookie quarterback. You got Bub Means. You got Mason Tipton. Like, you got Jordan Mims getting minutes. Yeah, there's a lot of youth on the offense. On the defense, it's the opposite. The defense, you have if anything, an old unit. So why all of a sudden can these guys not tackle?
50+ yard touchdown. I think that was the one that put the Saints up. Was that the one that put the Saints up for good? Probably. Come on, man. I clicked off, and I got to – yeah, that was the game winner. Put them up 31-27, then they just kept going. Mayfield, another up and down game, right? He ends up with 4.
Yeah, I don't think Baker was great. I mean, Baker was forcing stuff early. He was throwing picks. He had some plays that were nice, but I mean, I would say a lot of the stuff at the end, once the game got out of hand, how much are you really going to worry about that? He was good as far as extending plays, but I wouldn't give Baker an A+.
4 touchdowns, 3 picks. I think 2 of them weren't really on him.
Yeah.
Probably should have had another one before halftime. And then he's got just those, scrambles where he's moving the chains, breaking free from sacks, got injured briefly. Looked like it could have been a turning point in the game because he dives for a first down. He's inches short, comes out injured. The Bucs probably would have gone for it if he wasn't hurt. It was 4th and inches. They end up punting.
Yeah.
They could have easily put Kyle Trask in just to QB sneak and keep the drive going, but they didn't.
Especially because he's a big fella, Kyle Trask, right?
Yeah.
Or they could have just gave it to Bucky Irving or Sean Tucker, who are averaging 8 yards per carry.
Big guy, 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
But you don't want to run the QB sneak cold right off the sideline, do you?
Why not?
I mean, teams have QB sneak specialists. I'm sure you could do it fine.
Right. Jacoby Brissett can do it.
Again, it looked like a turning point in the game, but Spencer Rattler on the other side, the Saints offense just couldn't capitalize. As you mentioned, they only scored in that one quarter, and it was on short fields and punt returns for touchdowns. So they were.
Yeah, we needed more off of the turnovers. Like if you're watching, you're sitting there and you're like, man, we have got to we need to be up more by now. But again, when you're down 17, that's what happens, and that. It's unfortunate that that's how the game flow worked. But, yeah, I mean, when it was 27-24 at half, I was not feeling great because you see a lot of that stuff happening, and that's the first thing you're thinking is, we should absolutely be up more than we are right now.
Inconsistent offensively. But Mayfield, as I was saying, again, comes back into the game, bounces back, sticks in there with a nice touchdown to Cade Otton later in the game. I mean, they just Mayfield gritting it out, man. And battling through injury and finding a way to overcome what felt like could be some of those back-breaking turnovers. And the Bucs end up with almost 600 yards of offense.
Crazy.
And so all this stuff is adding up. Yeah, the Saints have lost Taysom Hill and offensive linemen, and Spencer Rattler's in there making his first start. But their defense, I was not expecting their defense to be this bad. This is one of the worst defensive outings of any team this year. They had the turnovers kept them in it. The defense did that, but those are kind of fluky.
Yeah, turnovers are random. We all know that. But, yeah, I mean, kind of like we're saying, I feel like this is a whole new season, a whole new conversation where, like Steve just said, yeah, the offensive line's banged up. Yeah, you have Spencer Rattler starting. Yes, all this stuff is happening. But no one sat here and said before the season, or even going into this week, no one said, oh, yeah, the Saints have the worst defense in the NFL. It's you could think they were top 15. You could think they were average. No one would have said this defense is going to be this bad. What is going on? And I understand that obviously the first person you look at is Dennis Allen, and you should. He's the DC. He has been the long time architect of this defense. So how has it gotten so bad so fast? Is a majority of these guys just older? Is Tyrann and DeMario and Cam and are they so much older that they're just completely irrelevant all of a sudden like that? I mean, maybe it happens, right? Because you look at some other areas, they're really good. Marshall Lattimore's been really, really good this season. Alontae Taylor's been good this season. So it's crazy that, even at times like Brian Brzee and Carl Granderson and Chase Young, they've been good this season. So it's just crazy that it doesn't seem like a unit that would be this bad, but what we watched yesterday was one of the worst, if not the worst, I would say the worst defensive performance from a team this year, and it was at home in a divisional game.
The Saints got beat up.
Yeah. They got absolutely annihilated. Obviously, the run game was crushing, but they couldn't really cover anybody either, except Mike Evans, who did go less than his prize picks projection. one of the 3 that I got right.
If I told you on Thursday, hey,
put up 600 yards of offense, and Mike Evans went less than his
600 yards of offense, and Marshawn Lattimore is not going to shadow him the whole time. We're going to have a lot of Paulson Adebo matchups.
Yeah.
I mean, Adebo's a pretty good corner, but
it's not Marshawn Lattimore.
It's not Marshawn Lattimore. Why did the Saints, mix it up?
Yeah. Anywho, Rattler. Rattler played pretty well.
Yeah, I thought he was good. I mean, I thought he was all right. He was. If I was grading on a curve, Rattler probably would have got like a C+, C- somewhere in there. I thought he was fine. I thought he was serviceable. I thought it does not help. It doesn't help whenever you're playing from down 17. It's a very different kind of game flow. It also doesn't help when you cannot run the football. Like when you're averaging 3 yards a carry, that's not good. So he was forced into this really weird game script, and I thought all things considered, he was pretty good. He made some bad throws. Like the second interception was horrible. First interception was a great play by the defensive back. He underthrew him a little baby bit, but still a hell of a play from the DB. His mobility was really good. I thought he extended some plays. He had a couple of nice little scrambles. Yeah, I mean, especially and then you factor in we're going to take away your number 1 wide receiver. Like the guy that he talked about all week was Chris Olave. He talked about getting Chris Olave involved all week long, and then you take him out on the second play of the game. So all that, yeah, I mean, I thought Rattler was fine. I would keep playing him. I mean, here's another question. Let's say Derek Carr misses 4 weeks, okay? And let's say the Saints lose those 4 games. So at that point, we're 2-4 now. We lose 3 more, so we'd be 2-7. What would be the point in bringing Carr back? Because at that point, the season's over. You're 2-7. You're firing Dennis Allen. At that point, Dennis Allen might be fired. You are rebuilding for sure. Wouldn't you just want to play the remaining 8 games and see what you can get from Spencer Rattler? Like, wouldn't you rather just say, all right, look, it's a lost season. Let's just go ahead and play the young guy, get him the reps, use this as kind of a no pressure kind of time period, and then we'll move into the rebuild next year. I mean, the Saints are staring that in the face right now because of this defense. The Los Angeles Chargers, all they want to do is run the football. What do you think is going to happen against them? All of a sudden now, all these games we're supposed to win, you're staring at this defense, and it's like, I don't trust this defense to stop anybody. And if a team has a willingness to run, like Tampa Bay did, like the Eagles did, like the Chargers will, it's hard to imagine the Saints stopping them.
Yeah, there was some good stuff in there.
Yeah.
Expound.
I mean, he was pretty impressive. It was a little bit like Drake May, right? It wasn't perfect. There was some bad in there as well.
Yeah, there was some
overall,
there was some
a
bad.
lot more, again,
for sure.
Positive than negative for him.
Yeah, agreed.
Given
he didn't go full Ian Book. I'll tell you that. He did not do that. And that's something we were worried about. But Rattler did not go in there and show you that he flat out can't play. Like, that was a huge bonus. He didn't embarrass himself. He didn't do anything to where you were like, Jesus, get this guy out of here. Like, there's something there. There's something there foundationally. And now it's just the Saints got to find it.
Given the situation, which is not amazing anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had 2 interceptions, both in the fourth quarter. I think the biggest one's beginning of the fourth quarter, kind of underthrows it. Zion McCollum with another. I mean,
that was a really good interception. Like, that's...
Yeah. It wasn't like a bad decision. He just underthrew it, and Zion McCollum goes up and is athletic and makes the play.
But it's one of those ones, it's not far underthrown. It's just like that's one of those plays where...
2 yards off.
In college, that's a completion, and in the NFL defenders are freaky.
Yeah.
And McCollum is specifically freaky in terms of one of the most ridiculous athletes that's ever come into the league at the cornerback position. Like, it is underthrown, but that's one of those ones where you sort of learn very quickly as a young quarterback just what NFL defenders are capable of.
Yeah. Second one was pretty bad. He just misread the
he straight up
defender. It was
straight up threw that one
into
a defender.
Right to Tyke Smith. Game was mostly over at that point. It was 44 to 27. But some positives in there from Spencer Rattler. I think as I saw someone else say, if Derek Carr was the quarterback in this game, I don't know if anything is all that much different.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's
Probably
true.
Not.
And again, didn't necessarily have I mean, certainly didn't have like the starting 5 offensive linemen that they would.
And that's nothing against Carr. It's just the situation. Like, you are down 3 linemen. You are throwing to Bub Means, Mason Tipton, and Rashid Shaheed. Jordan Mims is getting work. You know, like, your defense is giving up 8 yards per play. There's not much Rattler can do with that. There's not much Carr can do with that. There's not much that a lot of quarterbacks can do with that. So, yeah, it's nothing against Carr to say this, but, yeah, I mean, our problems right now really aren't offensively. Like, the only problems offensively are injuries. And it is what it is. Because if you say, well, we have a problem, we can't run the football. It's like, yeah, brother, I know. We have 3 of our 5 offensive linemen are out, and in some cases, you have third-string players playing. Connor McGovern's like a practice squad player. We're playing center. So, yeah, of course you can't run the ball. Oh, well, we can't. We're not pushing the ball downfield. Yeah, you have Mason Tipton and Bub Means. Chris Olave's hurt. Like, at some point, you got to put your hands up and say, like, okay, you know, the injuries have caught up. I think, what is it? It's McCoy, Ruiz, Carr, Olave. Like, you're talking about almost half of your starting lineup. Yes, like Lucas Patrick. Okay, so you like 5, 6. You're getting into that like 5 and 6 injuries on the offense. You know, half of your starting lineup. Yes, that will absolutely slow down any offense.
Would have wanted to start the season. Another guy, interesting, like both the rookie quarterbacks that were thrown into it this week, both dealing with not just backup centers, but guys that arrived fairly recently. Like they wouldn't, you know, not even, sometimes it might be okay if you had the backup center, but the guy that you've been playing with the whole time with the scout team or whatever, right? Yeah. That could be okay. But these are both backup centers that arrived fairly in the last couple of weeks with the team. So it's not like they've had a ton of reps just at the exchange, the quarterback center.
Well, not to mention that you're also doing all this against like the two of the hardest defensive fronts in football. You're doing this against the Chiefs, and you're doing this against a newly healthy Bucs team. Like, this is not, you're not doing this against, you know, the Patriots. Like, you're face to face with 2 of the toughest defensive lines in the NFL, and you're trying to do this if you're Connor McGovern or Spencer Rattler or whoever has played in the last couple of weeks.
Snap.
Just to touch on Sean Tucker again really quick. Career high in snaps. He had not played a lot of football.
Yeah, he had 2 seasons in the NFL, and he had 30 total yards, and he had 140 yards and, you know, 2 touchdowns. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, tough stuff there. Brutal for the boys. We'll be recapping this all day. And ladies and gentlemen, I will see you in the next video.